Hello YouTube, welcome back to the game room, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to do another video in my video game collection series. Today we're going to do a slightly more focused one. I mean, say I've been through a lot of my collections, and I was trying to see what I could do to do some new content. I mean, say today we're going to do an Xbox 360 focused video. So I've already showed off my Xbox collection. So now I'm basically going to go through a selection of the games which I would define as my favorite games on the Xbox 360. I mean, you say I'm going to show you a little about. These aren't necessarily going to be the best games on the Xbox 360. They're basically going to be a collection of my favourite games on the Xbox 360. They're going to be, I believe, I picked 20 titles. It was quite hard trying to pick 20 titles for this video and trying to get them down from, because I'm getting to close to the 360. In my collection, so I found it a bit hard to. Anyway, I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of the games. A little bit, are they back compatible? So do they play on the newest machine, which is the Xbox Series X, which is there? So I'm going to tell you if they play on the Xbox Series X. I'm going to tell you what they are, and for those people that have other platforms, I'm also going to tell you if they are available on more modern platforms and if they have remasters and stuff like this. And before we start, my dog is with us today. She's having a nap over here. She's a bit tired. She went for a walk earlier. She's a bit tired at the moment. So if you hear any snoring, it's Soph in the background. Yeah, she... Okay, so we're going to start. So we're going to go. So the first section of games I'm going to play... I'm going to play them after the video, actually, probably. I mean, so the first section of games I'm going to show are not going to be backwards compatible with the Xbox Series X. Anyway, I'll tell you a little bit about each and how much they're worth and what you can play them on, for instance. Okay, so the first game we're going to feature is this version. So for those that don't know, I'm in Europe, I'm in the UK, so most of these games features are going to be European PAL games. So there's going to be a couple of exceptions, and when you say, we'll start with the main exception. So this is Mushishima Futtari. So this basically is the second game in the Mushishima series. And you say, people that know me, love my shmups, I love all my things, and Cave and the 360 have a great affinity with the thing. So basically, there's a lot of shmups available on the Xbox 360. And when you say, so basically, before I go into this game, I'm going to say the Xbox 360 basically it is region lock, people. Say the publishers could release the games, with some of the games were released without region encoding, which enables games that weren't going to sell in large quantities to sell more in the thing. So this one, and most of my other shooters that I have, the Japanese versions, because they don't, the ones that haven't been released with region encoding. Anyway, this is Mushishima Futtari. So technically this is the second game in the Mushishima saga, which is by Cave. I mean, you say this, so basically in English it translates along the lines of Bug Princess. So it's basically a fantasy themed shooter in this beautiful fantasy world. As I say, the artwork is stunning. So the characters on the back, if I can zoom into that, they're called Rico and Palm. There's to say, that's the only one major problem I have with the game, is that it only has two characters. Each of these characters has two versions, so there's not as much ship variety or selection as there would be in some of the other shooting games. Anyway, it's a beautiful game. I mean, you say that Mushishima Futtari, this is the original, so this is the platinum version, sorry, this version is going for, currently, as the filming of this video, it's going for £74, and this game has not been ported to anything, so it's harder to get. I believe you might be able to get other versions of it, like, you can get the arcade board and stuff like that, but if you want a physical version, there's not really any port of this. There's also another printing of it, the original edition of this game, which is, again, is it going for £63. It's also worth bearing in mind, for those that don't know about Japanese 360 games, they're basically their certificate system is done in letters. So it's on an A, B, C, D kind of rating. So the low A being a suitable for all, and D is being an 18+ game. They also are like, I'll see if I can open this. Yeah, that's also something I didn't like about these Platinum games. They come with these white like discs. Anyway, I got this one for Christmas one year. I mean, you say that also, so on the disc, the game comes with so these cave games. They say this one I would recommend for newer players. It's not too bad on the default game. Bear in mind, there's a couple of arrange modes that are for more experienced players. So the normal mode of the game isn't too difficult. It's like it's a 1 on a 1 to a 5, and then there's stuff which there's an arrange mode which copies the mechanics from another shooter called Geiger Wing, which basically means you have a shield that will basically reflect all the bullets on the screen back at the enemies, but you can only use this when the bar is charged. And that basically enables you to clear the thing. There's so many bullets on the screen in that mode, and it's quite hectic. I have a 1 credit clear. I might even see if I can film that and show it off at some point. Anyway, and it's also worth bearing in mind there was another arrange mode for this, which is version 1.0, I believe it is, and that was DLC only. And you had to download it from the shop. I downloaded it from the Japanese eShop. And it was like, I don't know if you can get that mode anymore. Anyway, Mushishima Futtari, one of the games I would recommend for sure, and one of the best cave games. I'd probably give it the full stars. The only drawback I have with it is there's not very many characters you can pick. Abnormal Palm for me, I think, is the one I've seen. Okay, so that's Mushishima Futtari, and it's also worth bearing in mind if you're looking for an alternative way to play the game. The Mushishima, which is the first game in the series, is available. That's also more accessible than this version, as it has more ports. There's a Steam PC port, which I have as well. There's also, if you want to go a bit more retro, there's a PS2 port, but I'm not sure if that's any good, as it may suffer from input lag. I'm not 100% sure. And there's also more versions for more recent machines, such as there's a Switch version, and I believe there was even an iOS version at some point, but I'm not sure how good that is. Anyway, we'll go on to the next game. So the next game is also, there's going to be a lot of cave games in here, because I always say I like my cave games. And we said this is Death Smiles. This is Death Smiles, the Deluxe Edition. The reason why this is the Deluxe Edition is because it has 2 additional discs in the box. I mean, you say the additional disc is a lot of these games were released in Europe by Rising Star Games, which is the star logo there. They also brought out a lot of more Japanese focused games. They also did stuff like Rune Factory and stuff like that. Anyway, this edition comes with 2 additional discs in the box, such as one is a soundtrack CD and one is a selection of desktop wallpaper. Anyway, this one I have good memories for. This is the first cave shooter I played. I mean, it took me about a month to 1 credit clear this on the base mode, on the base mode of the main game. I would say on a cave scale, this is so this one is vertically scrolling, whereas opposed to the other ones, which are mainly horizontal scrolling. This is to say that one of the things, although on one of the levels it does scroll the other way around as well, but mainly it's just the sideways scrolling. Anyway, say Death Smiles is a good game. It's also in a fantasy theme. It has a selection, so you play basically like a witch. They're kind of familiar. It also reminds me thematically in similar style to the Cotton game. If you play the Cotton games, a lot of those are available now recently, especially on the Switch. So the Death Smiles, so Death Smiles, this version is going for £21. This version isn't backwards compatible. There's a more recent version, which is you can get the Xbox One version, which you can play on the Xbox Series X, and that basically means you can play the game on the newer machine. There's also a version. I haven't played this version myself. I mean, you can get. There's apparently available. So it's a double pack. So you can get. Basically, it's the combination of that and Death Smiles 1, as well as the second one, which I haven't played. That's got a Christmas theme to it, apparently. It's also got, I think it has newer characters available. and that's it. And then you say that, so that you can also get there's another more expensive version of this, which it also has a customizable faceplate, which is the thing you used to put on the front of the Xbox to customize them. Anyway, that's the Death Smiles. Now we'll move on to Don Patchy. So this is probably one of my favourite games. It's one of my favourite shooting games. Anyway, this is Don Patchy Resurrection. So this is the fourth game in the Don Patchy series after Don Patchy, Don Patchy. The third game, my memory slips me, whatever it is. So this is the fourth game. This is the first one on the Xbox 360, and there was also a later one called Don Patchy Saidoju as well, which I haven't gotten. That one's quite expensive and is less accessible than this one. So this is one of my favourites. So say if I had to pick one of my top 5 games, this would probably be in my top 5, for instance. I mean, you say this one has, again, it has the soundtrack CD in the box. So this one has a good selection of things. So there's basically there's so many modes in this game. For instance, in this game, this one has this has 3 modes on the base. So it has 2 arrange modes in addition to the original game. A beginner mode, which like quite a few of these games feature beginner modes as well for the newer players, and they're good for getting people in and then going up to a higher difficulty setting. So Don Patchy Resurrection, one of my favourite games. I mean, you see this version is going for £34. I mean, you say so if that version isn't back compatible, but you can get. There's also a Steam version available which has a lot of the things, and basically that game was released in Japan. The black label versions were released on disc separately, and that were available separately, whereas if you buy the Steam version, you can get all of it all in one package. I don't know if it's in the Steam sale. There's a Steam sale going on at the moment called the Steam Summer Sale, and there's also another Steam sale later in the year just for shmups. So if you want looking to look out for that game, I'd recommend this sale later in the year. We'll probably have it at some point. Anyway, that's a good game, one of my favourite games. I might do a video on it at some point. Alright, let's go on to some non-shmups. So, okay, so the first one is... So we go on to is... Yeah. So we go DJ Hero 2. So there were quite a lot of music games released on the consoles at this point. We really say they've probably gone out of fashion now, and there are not so many of them. Anyway, this is DJ Hero 2. So this was very expensive when it came out. If you bought the edition with the peripheral, the turntable, which I will show you in a minute, it was like £100 or nearly enough, maybe 80 or 90. I mean, you say DJ Hero 2, one of the best kind of rhythm action games. I love the soundtrack. This soundtrack is, if I can zoom in, that's some of the stuff. It's various blends of various things to blended various songs together. That's some of the soundtrack on it. I mean, you see, I personally preferred the soundtrack from the first game a bit more because I feel this one is a bit more dance, and the first one was a bit more hip-hop. This first one features artists such as Grandmaster Flash and DJ Shadow. This has got more... I think it's got Tiesto on. I do like Tiesto as well, the thing. I mean, I'm going to show you the controller. I mean, see, before I start, so this game isn't going for very much. The base edition is £2.90 free. The edition with the controller is like £12.76. This is also available on the various other generations of that thing. So it's, 6th-gen consoles? So it's available on PS3 and Wii, for instance. Anyway, I'm going to just show you the turntable. So this is the turntable. This is the thing. This has got you've got your 3 buttons and scratch. You scratch like this. Then there's a crossfader to use on the thing. Then there's this knob and this which you use to various thing the mix. Okay, so this is worth pointing out for this kind of game. But say it's designed for left-handed and right-handed people, so you can detach this bit and flip them around, and it's called like lefty flip. And it enables you left-handed and right-handed people to play it. Personally, I prefer my right hand on the record and my other hand on the buttons. Anyway, so DJ Hero, a great game. They only did 2 games in the series, so they basically only did 2 games. And he said they're quite cheap to pick up now, people. As I say, if you can get this one, you can get whichever edition of you with the controller. Once you've got that, you can get the other game fairly cheaply because it's only a couple of kind of pounds. And so I'd recommend it. I'm also trying to pick up a second controller so I can play 2-player face-to-face, head-to-head kind of thing in local, which I can do at some point. Anyway, so that's DJ Hero 2, a good rhythm action game, probably one of my favourites. Right, so we've got move on to the last couple on the non-back compatible section. So the next one is Blur. So if you like Mario Kart and prefer with a more realistic kind of settings, the cars in this are real. So this is Blur. So it's imagine Mario Kart. So I believe it even has the 4-player kind of split screen from that kind of game. So it's Mario Kart in a more realistic kind of setting. So the cars are actually licensed cars. And before there was going to be a sequel to this game, Blur 2, but like that game never came out because I don't know why it was cancelled. It got cancelled anyway. Anyway, Blur is not going for very much. It's going for £6.96. So there was a PC version, a PS3 version as well. Anyway, I'd recommend Blur. A good fun racing game, especially if you have other people to play with. Anyway, to say my last game that is back compatible is WWE All Stars. So this is a fun arcade style wrestling game. When you say this one is more arcadey than some of them, they were basically it's basically more arcade friendly and not as clunky as some of the other games. So I'd compare it more like to WWE Battlegrounds is another game I would compare it to. And when you say this has quite a classic roster of wrestlers, so it's got like lots of wrestlers varying the genres. So I can name all the characters on the cover. So we've got Rock, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, Kofi Kingston, Macho Man, Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, Batista, and Rey Mysterio. Okay, I've got all those down. And when you say this is more arcade style wrestling game, basically the character they've got effectively what a character class is. So you've got the brawlers, grapplers, big men, I believe, stuff like Andre the Giant and like the high flyers, I think might be one of the categories. And when you say when I was doing research for this video, I found out there's a sequel called WWE All Stars, which is All Stars 2 actually, which is available on the current platform, so Xbox One, PS4, and Switch. And I didn't know that existed until like literally when I was doing research for it. Anyway, this version's only going for £5 something. Also, if you want to try another wrestling game that's slightly different, I'd try Battlegrounds on the current consoles, or Legends of WrestleMania is another one. Alright, so now we'll go on to the second batch of games. So our second batch of games is all going to be backwards compatible, so you can all play them on the Series X or the original machines if you want. Anyway, so the section 2 is going to be my favourites of my favourites. It's going to start with Borderlands 2. So this is the original edition of Borderlands 2. The also available. You can get the Game of the Year edition and you can get the expansion separately. So this is Borderlands 2. So I started playing Borderlands games at the original Borderlands, which is Borderlands the first one when it came out. I mean, so I finished every mission in this game, but I feel this Borderlands 2 is a bit more refined. I've also played all the games, so I've played Borderlands 1, 2, 3, the pre-sequel, and I've played Tiny Tina's. The only Borderlands games I haven't played are the Tales from Borderlands series, which I will get round to playing at some point. So this is Borderlands 2. I picked, it's this character, whichever, this one I believe was the one I chose in this one. I can't remember all the names, I haven't played it for a while. I've played the more recent one recently. Anyway, that was the character I chose. Anyway, Borderlands is good fun. I like any games that are cel-shaded, and Borderlands is definitely a cel-shaded game. It's basically a great looter shooter. I enjoy the thing. I've enjoyed this series. I've been playing them for the thing. I mean, so that's Borderlands 2. That's the original edition. So this was the one I got. And I had to get the expansion separately because that was how I got them back when I didn't have Xbox Live. I mean, so that was the add-on pack for it. And Borderlands 2 isn't going for very much. It's £2.48. The add-on's going for $1.98, and then if you go to the Game of the Year edition, that's the one with all the expansions, is £11.25. The triple pack, which is Borderlands, Borderlands 2, and the pre-sequel is £15.54. And if you're looking for a more recent machine to play it on, you can get what's called the Handsome Jack collection, which are the remastered games. Although I think it has 2 in the pre-sequel, it doesn't have 1 on it. And you can even get Borderlands on like the Vita and stuff if you want to play it that way. Anyway, so that's Borderlands. as opposed to Keep on the Borderlands, which is a D&D module. Anyway, so that's that me going off. Anyway, so the next one I'm going to feature is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I feel this is one of the better games in the Assassin's Creed series. I like the period, the setting. I like it because it's like a pirate kind of thing. Who doesn't like pirates? I mean, say pirates are overdone in various things. Like Magic had quite a lot of pirates in various things. And same as Hearthstone, actually. Anyway, so I verge. Anyway, so Assassin's Creed Black Flag is basically set in like the pirate times. So you control a ship. I wasn't that keen on the sailing sections, but everything else above the game I really liked. I liked the characters and everything, and it's easy to get now. It's playable on nearly all platforms. And you say, there are even talks of them doing a remaster of this one, a remake or remaster of this at some point. Anyway, this is the base edition. This is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, going for £2.67. There's a Buccaneer edition, which I don't know. Some of these collector's editions get quite expensive. There's a Buccaneer edition going for 56 quid, and a Black Chest edition that's going for 96 quid. I mean, you see, I think it has a statue along with some other goodies as well. I remember seeing them at some point, but like they're never at the price where I'm going to pay for it. Right, so now we move on to Bioshock. I mean, you say these are one of the things. This is by 2K Games, and then you say this is the second game in the series. I mean, you say, I thought this one was my favourite in the series. So the iconic thing, without spoiling anything, are it's basically got an underwater kind of setting, whereas the later one went into the clouds. So the iconic things are the big daddies, which is the large thing pictured on the front. And you've got a little sister thing. So the iconic kind of setting. So it's kind of like an FPS. Other than the fact that you've got some powers available, they're plasmids, I believe, is the thing. So you can alter the thing, and you basically have to choose between saving things or harvesting them. I'd recommend Bioshock. It's definitely one of the best games of that kind of genre. And when you say it's easy to get, this version is going for £5. The Rapture edition is going for £10, and the special edition is going for £42. And then you can get the more recent edition, which is called the Bioshock Collection, which are the games remastered at 4K. And it was also given away recently on one of the Epic Vault games, I believe. So I've got it on that. So I might replay it on that version at some point. Okay, that's that one. Then we go on to Dark Souls 2. So Dark Souls, I started at the original Dark Souls. I didn't play Demon's Souls because I didn't really see many versions of that. I've only played that recently. Anyway, this is Dark Souls 2. This would also make my top 5 games as well, because this is my favourite, one of my favourites in the thing. This is one of the only Souls games I've actually finished. I found this one slightly easier than the first one, because the first one I got stuck in the area. What's the area with all the poisonous things, like I can't remember what it is anyway. This game I really enjoyed. This game is also really accessible. You can get this edition. This edition is like £5.46. Then you can get the Stride of the First Sin, which is the one with the expansion. That's £11 something. There's also a collector's edition, which is £48. Dark Souls I really enjoyed. It was like the iconic. I also got the Dark Souls board game, which I showed on my on one of my other videos at some point. And you say I also, this was one of the games where I actually it doesn't have like an auto map kind of thing on it, on like some of the newer ones like Elden Ring, which does give you a map. You see, I had to do a hand-drawn map, so if I look back through my collection, I could probably find the hand-drawn map for this. Dark Souls 2, I'd really recommend that. A really good game. Right, so now we're going to go on something slightly different. So we're going to go on Burnout Paradise. So this is Burnout Paradise, the Ultimate Box. So this is made by Criterion Games. It's a fun arcade racing game. You can say, look, there are going to be some more arcade racing games in this. I do like my arcade racing games. It's also by Criterion Games. I did work experience. I applied to do work experience at Criterion, but unfortunately they didn't answer me. Anyways, as I say, it's still a good game. This is the edition with the bikes. Basically, it also features Guns N' Roses on the soundtrack. Take Me Down to Paradise City. Say worth putting in mind. And say I have some vinyl that's my original copy of Appetite for Destruction, which has the Paradise City song on it. I like Guns N' Roses anyway, so that's the thing. Right, so the Burnout Paradise, the Ultimate, is going for £4.66. it's also worth bearing in mind you can get a double pack which comes with Trivial Pursuit in, which isn't very much different. And you can also get more remastered versions, which are available for the more current generation of platforms, which I will probably look at some point. Okay, now we move on to Fallout. We've got Fallout 3. This is the Game of the Year edition. You look at the price in the top hand corner. It cost 20 quid when I bought it. Anyway, you say this Fallout. I do like Fallout games. I like the kind of dystopian world. I mean, say I don't think Fallout games have a great strong plot. I mean, some people might disagree, but like I don't feel this plot is very memorable on any of the games. Some of the things are quite iconic, but the world feel and that. But I don't feel they have particularly memorable plot. Anyway, this is the edition with all the additional like 5 expansion packs, as you can see in the bottom corner. Anyway, so Fallout, a good game. You can also play things like Skyrim, as there, like I'm sure everyone's played Skyrim, and there's later Fallouts available. This is very accessible. You can get like you can get it on PC, and you can probably play it with the more updated textures. This is going for about £9 something. Okay, so we're going to move on to Sonic. So Sonic. This is Sonic Generations. This is one of the best Sonic games. So this is a cross between a newer style of Sonic game and an older Sonic. So when I say older style Sonic, I mean the sideways scrolling kind of thing as normal. And more modern Sonic is a more kind of 3D kind of like Sonic Adventure kind of thing. Anyway, this has levels in both aspects. So it's a cross between old school Sonic and a Sonic Adventure thing. Not to be confused with Sonic 06 on this genre of platforms, which is terrible. It's one of the worst Sonic games, and this being one of the best ones. This one is quite accessible. It's going for £7.45. On this edition, the classics version is going for more, apparently £13. And then the collector's edition, if you ever see that, that's worth getting. That's £171. I think it might have gone up with Sonic's popularity, but like that's really expensive. Anyway, that's Sonic Generations. Okay, so we'll move on to Orange Box. So that's basically, for those that don't know, this is basically most of the Half-Life games from this generation. This is Half-Life 2 Episode 2, Team Fortress 2, Portal, and Half-Life 2, all on one disc. So this is the original way I played them. So this is basically a way to get them, and you said they're quite accessible. You can even get a better version, like the PC version, where maybe you to play with various other features. Anyway, so this is the original way I played them on these. So, yes, so basically you can get it on PlayStation as well. It's not format exclusive. And most of the ones in this category aren't going to be format exclusive. So this is going for now, just scrolling through my list. Can't find the price. Oh, it's going for 10. It's going for 10. Yeah, I found it. And they say worth bearing in mind, if you have Portal on PC, you can get a free upgrade, which only just came out relatively recently, even it's an old game. It's called Portal with RTX, which is free on Steam if you have the original game in your Steam library. I mean, as I say, I recommend that. I've got Portal. Portal 2 is also available. I haven't played Portal 2 yet, and supposedly that's one of the best games ever made. I mean, it's like I do like Portal, Half-Life. I mean, I remember playing the original ones on PC as well, and there was a similar box, like all-in-one box like this one for that as well. And we say Half-Life, a good game. Right, so we move on from Half-Life, we move on to Grand Theft Auto. So this is Grand Theft Auto 4. I chose this one over Grand Theft Auto 5. Some people might prefer Grand Theft Auto 5, but this was the one that stuck out to me the most, as I feel the jump between this and the PlayStation 2 kind of era ones was bigger than the one to the new ones. And I think the characters I preferred in this one than the more recent one. Anyway, so this is Grand Theft Auto 4. I also remember the pigeons in this. There was an achievement basically based on you finding all the pigeons in the game, and they were quite well hidden. I think there were 100 pigeons, and in however many hours of play, I think I only found 2 or 3. I mean, this is Grand Theft Auto 4. It's very accessible, so this version is going for £4.60. And it's worth bearing in mind they had the expansion as well. So this is episodes from Liberty City, which is 2 complete bits. You can also get an all-in-one version. This version is going for £5.46. So this is basically 2 expansions to it, and they have 2 separate characters basically in this one. It doesn't continue over from the main game, and that one's going for £5.46. And the complete version is going for £17. Okay, so that's that one. And then we go on to more stuff. So we start with Gears of War 3. So obviously Microsoft is synonymous with the Gears of War series, and that's Marcus Phoenix is the main character. Well, in the original trilogy he is. They're also the more recent ones as well. Okay, so before we go, so this also came with the kind of like these kind of decals in the box, so they're still with a logo on it. Okay, so Gears 3. It was the first one it was the first game in the series to feature Beast Mode, which is basically a continuation of the thing. It enables you to play in multiplayer with the Locust rather than the Cog. Anyway, so Gears 3 also has a good thing. So if you're playing it on the on console, you also have you can have local co-op. I know at least all up to these one did local co-op. I haven't played it in local co-op. I definitely might replay the game at some point. I played the 5th one through relatively recently. Anyway, this is Gears of War 3. It's basically the best one on this gen of platform anyway. I mean, you say there's also another Gears game in which more recent. There's Gears Tactics, which I haven't played. I'd be up to try that at some point. I think that's on Game Pass. Anyway, this is Gears 3, going for £3 this edition. There's a Steelbook edition going for £7.82. I don't seem to have many Steelbooks for some reason. I've only got like 2 or 3 as far as my entire collection. There's a collector's edition that's going for £13. Epic edition going for £15. And there's an entire console, which is a Gears of War themed console that came out for the launch of it, and that's going for £112. Okay, so that's Gears of War. Now we move on to a action-focused game. So we've got Bayonetta. So this is Bayonetta, the original one. This one came out on this, and I think there was a PS3 version as well of this one. Yeah, I've been playing the more recent one, Bayonetta 2. I got 2 and 3 for the Switch recently. I finished 2 recently. Anyway, I feel this game is better in some ways. It feels a lot harder than the other ones. I feel the other ones are dumbed down and they feel a lot easier. And when you see main focus is, but when you go into the main, it's like a Devil May Cry kind of game. The other difference between this and Devil May Cry are the main character. And you say that she's probably as powerful as like Dante or that as well in that kind of thing. And as I say, I've played all the Devil May Cry games. So if you want to make a game similar to Devil May Cry, I'd recommend Bayonetta. So Bayonetta, basically the thing is the main gimmick of the if the game is like bullet time or witch time as it's known in this game, which means when you're in this mode you can basically slow down time and basically all the enemies around you slow down. I mean, you say the game without this would be a lot harder than it is. I mean, you say this one I feel is a lot harder than the more recent one. Anyway, I finished 2 recently. I've started 3, but I haven't got around to finishing it. Anyways, this is Bayonetta. Definitely, I enjoy it. I mean, you said there's also another Bayonetta game that came out recently, but it's not like this. It's completely different, and that's available on the more modern platforms. Anyway, Bayonetta is going for £4.28. There's lots of various special editions though, and like you can get Bayonetta on the Switch with the second one if the game was new. You got a download code, and I believe there's like something like Ultimate Climax Edition or something, which are like various special editions of it, and they're quite expensive. They're in the hundreds. Anyway, so this is the original one, and it's not going for that much. Anyway, I recommend Bayonetta. Right, let's move on to some RPGs. I don't need to say I know there's going to be some RPGs going to make the list anyway. Say they mainly seem to be more of this kind of genre of RPG rather than the more JRPGs. I couldn't work out which JRPG I'd put on the list anyway. I mean, some of them were close, but not quite. Anyway, this is Mass Effect 2. So this is the second part of the Mass Effect trilogy. So the Mass Effect trilogy started at 1, and this is part 2. I say this being the best part, and they said they're all available independently, and there's also a triple pack thing you can get of all of them. And so this is Mass Effect 2. So basically this is by BioWare. I mean, you say Mass Effect is more regarded, one of the more highly regarded games in like this kind of style of RPG, and you say it's slightly different. Most RPGs are fantasy based, And you said this is more sci-fi based. I like my sci-fi. I'm particularly into like Star Trek as well, and I like Star Wars and stuff like that. Anyway, so Mass Effect 2. I also basically there's lots of iconic characters in this. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but you could play as in either gender of you could play as a male character or a female character. I played as with the Commander Shepard without going anything without spoilers. It's like I played as Femme Shepard. Did anyone else play as Femme Shepard? Let me know in the comments section. Anyway, I recommend Mass Effect 2 anyways. It's say Mass Effect 3 not so much. I won't go into that without giving out spoilers, but the ending on that is not too bad. There's also Mass Effect Andromeda available on the thing, but I haven't really finished that game. And we said this is also available on more recent consoles and remastered called the Mass Effect Collection or somewhere around that. Anyways, in Mass Effect 2, definitely worth playing. And there's a good it gives, for those that haven't played it, there's quite a few like moral choices and stuff like that and various things. So if you enjoy your things, I would recommend Mass Effect. I only got part 3 recently, and thanks for I found part 3 recently. I was missing it, so I only picked up part 3 recently. I've finished all the games though. Right, so a lot nearly there. So now we've got Dead Space 2. I mean, so I didn't know. There's a lot of sequels on this video. A lot of them are the second game. I mean, you see, generally in video games, I feel that basically the later games in the series are generally better, but like that's not always the case. Anyway, Dead Space 2. So this is by Visceral Games on EA. So this is the story of Isaac Clarke. So it's basically imagine kind of an Aliens kind of thing in which is also in space. And kind of with more like jump scares from stuff like Resident Evil. I mean, Dead Space 2, I would think it's probably the best game in the series for me. They did remake the first one relatively recently. I don't know if that's available in a sale or not yet. I'll get it at some point. Anyway, Dead Space 2, Isaac Clarke. There's also an achievement for doing completing the game with just the base weapon, which is called the Plasma Cutter, which is like a plasma torch, because he's basically an engineer and he gets his way through the ship. Anyway, there's also various other games like various alien games that are fairly similar to this, or the Resi games. Anyway, that's Dead Space 2, going for £3.59. Although the collector's edition is going for like 40 quid. I don't know what that one's got. Anyway, I would say recommend those ones. I mean, see, if not, keep your eye open for the new one if it's on the Steam sale. Anyway, to finish with, we have Ultra Street Fighter 4. So basically, I had a hard time picking a fighting game for this, but I've gone for this one. I think Street Fighter had a renaissance at this kind of time because I played it around. I didn't play. I played the like number 2 and that and the original games on the SNES, for instance, and then I came back to Street Fighter. I didn't play 3. I think I played Alpha. No, I played Alpha as well. Anyway, Street Fighter 4 Ultra. This is the better edition. This is the one with all the characters. So these are the characters that originated from. It's got all the characters from Super Street Fighter in it as well, and it felt like it was the best version of this game as it has literally all the characters. Apparently it's got 40 characters on it and all the costumes and everything. I mean, say I played on this, I played as Zangief, which, I mean, before Street Fighter 4, I didn't play as Zangief. I generally played as Ryu or one of the others characters, and then I started on Zangief when I could do the 360-degree spins. I mean, so I got an arcade stick relatively recently. I'm pretty sure it works with the with the 360. Anyway, this edition's going for £17, and it's easy. You can get Street Fighter 4 easily on the thing. I mean, Street Fighter 6 just came out. I mean, so I'll probably get around to playing that at some point. Anyway, those are my favourite Xbox 360 games. Hopefully you enjoyed watching it. I mean, say you've found a couple of new games to play. Anyway, so that's going to be the end of the video. I mean, say thanks for watching. I mean, say the viewers are getting there. Well, the subscribers are going up. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, people. It helps the YouTube algorithm, and it helps me keep doing these videos. And so I'll keep on doing them. I mean, say I keep doing them. I'm going to try and do at least one a month. And when you say my next video is going to be probably my biggest video game heavy hitters, which is going to be a selection of my most expensive games in my collection. Anyway, thanks very much. Like, comment, and subscribe. Safe's gone, so the video must be over. Thanks very much. See you again next month. Thanks very much. Bye.